Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
Brought to you by GlanviaConnect.com.
Well, as usual, it's Kieran O'Connor here with your weekly farming programme. And once again, I have a very busy show for you this week. Well, on this week's programme, I talked to a Waterford Dairy Farmer about the implications, indeed the impact of COVID-19 on farm over the past year for both himself and his family. I'll also discuss the power and role of vitamin D in fortified milk in improving your immunity. And we discuss the important role of reseeding and soil nutrition for grassland farmers.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanviaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.
Well, a year into COVID-19, earlier in the week, I got a chance to talk to Tom Power. He's a well-known dairy farmer from Kappa, of course, former national winner of the NDC Kerrygold Quality Milk Supplier of the Year, to find out how the last 12 months has been for him. First of all, Tom, the last 12 months, what do you remember most about the last 12 months? Indeed, the news when it broke about COVID-19 and restrictions involved.
Yeah, well, I suppose even go back before that, when we heard about COVID, it was this thing over in China, and most of us thought it'd never arrive in Ireland or Europe, and I suppose, when it came in, we knew straight away the seriousness of it, and I suppose we weren't prepared for the changes it would make to our lives. Kids off school, people off work, not able to meet friends, family, not able to socialise, so it's made a huge change to our lives over the last year.
On farm then, as regards the day-to-day working, obviously of all the occupations, farming did well from that point of view.
I suppose, look, we were able to get up in the morning and go about our day's work. It probably changed a bit how, we'll say the meetings, like discussion group meetings and things, haven't happened. Well, they've happened on Zoom, which is a new form of communication for us. I suppose we've kind of just been able to put the head down and concentrate on what we've been doing, albeit not meeting too many people,
So what will summer 21 be like for Tom Power and his family?
I know it's not going to be a return to complete normality, but even for the kids, if we could just bring the kids on a bit of a holiday, just something to break the day-to-day for them. Look, I suppose it all depends on numbers and what way they go, but you'd hope that just to meet up with family, like I have brothers and sisters that I haven't seen in a long time, so just to meet family again, I suppose, would be a big thing,
And what would you look forward to most, Tom?
A nice meal, Kieran. Just to be able to bring Mrs. Power out for a nice meal, a nice cold pint of Guinness. Maybe, I don't know if we'll get to go to a match, but look, if Waterford could replicate last year, even to sit down at home and watch them win in All Ireland would be great, So what
has the last 12 months taught you? What have you learned from the last 12 months that you didn't realise 12 months ago?
Yeah, I suppose it's really driven home the importance of family, and I'm very lucky that my parents and mine live very close to us, and that we've been able to keep them in our bubble and keep them with our kids and that. So I suppose that's important. And on the other side then, not seeing friends and not seeing family, it just brings home how important it is to communicate with these people, and I just look forward to seeing them all again,
Tom, as I said, 12 months ago we had the whole COVID lockdown. Of course, just over a year ago, it was a huge transformation for the Power Farm. You were moving in to a rotary parlour, so on top of COVID, before the COVID hit, you had a real huge tsunami out here.
Yeah, we started in the new parlour on the 28th of February last year, just as COVID was really, I suppose, around Cheltenham last year, Paddy's weekend. We were just in before it and had most of the work complete. And I suppose it's just been a great transition for us, and it's been an easier way of working on the whole farm, really,
So moving from the herringbone to the rotary system, how difficult was it for your cows to adjust, indeed for you to adjust, and the actual transition, how difficult was that?
Transition was seamless. Mainly for the cows, it probably took us longer to get used to it. In the space of 3 days, it was as if the cows had never been on any other parlour, and after a week it was like we'd never milked in any other parlour, so it was very easy to get changed over.
As regards this spring so far, how are you going as regards calving? Are they nearly all calved at this stage? Where are you as regards the calving?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, maybe it was down to COVID, but I think last spring, because we couldn't do anything else, people were very tuned in on the breeding side of it, and maybe it was down to weather, but so last year's breeding season went very well. I think there's 4 left out of 315 or 16 cows, so there's and they'll be calved in a week, so we're actually getting ready for the breeding season this year's breeding season this week anyway. So
now, I've been speaking to you over the last number of years, particularly since you won the national award, a fantastic achievement back in 2016. Are you actually maxed up as regards numbers, or where's the target? And we'll speak in a minute about the new restrictions on peak that Glanbia have as regards peak milk restrictions.
Yeah, I suppose where we're at this year numbers wise is kind of where we had intended to go to. I can't see a whole lot more growth in us. You know, we're physically, from the workload point of view, we're maxed out. I suppose nitrate directives are coming, the levels are coming down a bit lower. They're increasing the value of a cow, so I can't see us moving a whole lot more on the land base we have.
As regards the whole area of biodiversity and sustainability, obviously a lot of people, biodiversity has become huge as regards hedgerows, as regards also the whole area of slurry spreading and all of that. How difficult has been for you to adopt that, or something that you're driving on, and water quality as well?
Yeah, but I think if guys are being honest, it's probably something that we've been doing with the last number of years anyway. So low emission slurry spreading is something that's been here with 5 or 6 years, and you know, most people have adopted to it pretty well, and we see the benefits because we're getting better use of our slurry, we're getting more nitrogen from it, and you know, I could see a lot of hedgerows being planted, there's trees going in places. People are definitely more tuned into water quality and the importance of making farming a sustainable way of producing milk.
Now, obviously you're in the heartland of dairying here in West Waterford, all over the southeast. The big talking point at the moment is on Tashka being ordered to reconsider their court action with Glanbia, with the Bellevue plant, 140 million investment. But the people on the outside don't realise the huge implication of that for farmers like yourself.
Oh yeah, huge. And I mean, it's a stark reality for us because you know, we only got the news last week. Heading into our breeding season, guys have heifers on the ground ready to inseminate them, and you know, it's putting a cap on us all as to what we can do for the next couple of years, and it's just something, I suppose, that is a big worry for us at the moment, and something that we'd like to see overcome.
And finally then, as regards the announcement by Glanbia, obviously from your point of view personally, I suppose you could be in a worse scenario, and indeed a lot of the farmers, I believe, in the Waterford catchment area, a lot of expansion has happened. Obviously people would prefer if they don't come in, but hopefully with this new plant getting the green light, it could mean a huge difference for an awful lot of milk suppliers.
Oh yes, I mean, if I look at where we were 5 years ago, if this had come in then, a lot of what we've just spoken about wouldn't have happened. You know, there's a cubicle shed, a land lease, a land purchase, a new parlour. None of these would have happened. So, but that's from a selfish point of view, and I'm very lucky that we have these done. But I would feel for people who are in a growth mode and that are trying to provide for, we'll say, a family at home and maybe labour on the farm. So it's a huge thing.
But Tom, you're a man with a young family. You've 4 kids, your wife Maya, your parents on the farm, as you say, your in-laws just there in Abbeyside. A difficult year, but really, as you say, you've learned, the family have probably become a closer unit.
Oh, we have. I mean, you know, we've been blessed with our grandparents or with our parents, but I suppose the kids, you know, you just feel for the kids really, because they've missed out on school, they haven't seen friends, and they haven't, you know, they're at an age where they'd be making friends for the first time, so none of that has really happened for them. So that's why I hope this summer, and you know, even after the summer, brings a bit of a change. So
well, I'm sure, Tom, 2020 you won't forget in a hurry, not only COVID-19 but the installation of this new rotary parlour to you, your dad, your wife Maya, your mum and all the family. The very best for the near future, and congrats and well done on the new investment, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com, Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
Well, the importance of vitamin D and indeed the role that it plays not alone in our diet but in our general daily food intake has become a huge talking point over the last few years, and indeed particularly over the last few months, particularly during COVID. A rural woman very much at the coalface of all of this is the marketing manager of Glanbia Consumer Foods, and that's Linda Sheehan. Linda, welcome to our programme.
Hi Kieran, how are you doing? Thanks very much for having me on.
Linda, as I mentioned in the intro, vitamin D has become a big talking point, and indeed an awareness campaign has been out there really with the general public, but you've been very much involved in driving this, particularly through your Supermilk product.
Absolutely, yeah. So you're right, Kieran. So vitamin D is everywhere at the moment. So you may have read some articles or heard some information recently about how good it is for you. And well, mainly hear about vitamin D and its role in bone health. It plays a key role in supporting the normal functioning of the immune system too, which is obviously very relevant in these current times. And our Avonmore Supermilk actually is a rich source of vitamin D, with just one 250ml glass fortified with 5 micrograms of vitamin D. So that's 100% of the EU recommendation recommended daily intake of vitamin D.
And as regards the whole, we'll say the benefits of milk and all its great qualities, calcium was being rolled out along, and the importance particularly of women and girls drinking enough of calcium and elderly people. But the whole vitamin D thing has really taken over the last year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so vitamin D is essential really for absorbing calcium from the food and drink we consume. And this is really important for the development of healthy bones and teeth. So, in particularly bone growth is greatest in childhood and teenage years where there's growth spurts. So it's really important that, children and all the way through life, actually, all ages and stages, that we consume vitamin D to get that maximum absorption of calcium to build healthy bones.
And fortified milk, obviously, you mentioned the whole area of super milk, but more people are looking at fortified milk. Some people are looking at the whole low-fat area. Do you find that in young teenagers, and particularly with the whole vegan wave, and that people are a bit nervous about dairy, or do you feel that people see the actual benefits of dairy?
I think so. Within Glanbia, so the area I work in is within fortified milk, which is cow's milk that contains extra vitamins and minerals that are not found naturally in milk in significant amounts. So, for example, as I mentioned, Avonmore Super Milk is enriched with vitamins B, D and E and extra calcium and folic acid. And that's really important, particularly for that younger cohort, as I mentioned, so they develop strong bones through their life. So really, really important that they choose a milk product that has added calcium and vitamin D in it. Again, just to maximise bone health as they grow older.
And indeed, introducing it to young children as well, young kids in their lunch pack going to school. That's a big area, of course. People are very much, we'll say, anti the actual high sugar minerals and off-the-shelf tins that are there. So that's a whole catchment area that I'm sure you're focusing on as well.
Absolutely. So we launched a mini Super Milk Minis there towards the end of last year. So that's a flavoured Super Milk available in a 250ml size, a 6-pack actually. So it would be perfect for children returning from school just as a snack, and delivers that vitamin D and a lovely taste for younger children as well. Yeah,
get them started young. As regards the COVID-19, as I mentioned earlier, and indeed one area that I know, speaking to people involved, is the whole mymilkman.ie, people getting milk delivered to their home because of COVID restrictions and whatever, getting that delivery to their home. That has become a huge success for you.
Absolutely, yeah. So our My Milkman channel delivers fresh milk and other products direct to your doorstep, and it's performed very strongly during COVID-19. So we can really see the switch for consumers to online grocery as a result of what's going on, and people practicing more social distancing as well. So doing very, very well for us during COVID-19.
So overall, the fortified milk, while you have your fresh Avonmore milk and your low-fat and fresh milk, has the fortified milk, and particularly the one with vitamin D, really become a game changer in the industry over the past year or two?
Absolutely. So Avonmore Super Milk in particular has performed fantastically well for us in the last couple of years, and in particular over the last year as well. So I think people have really, realised that vitamin D is so important for them, in terms of building immunity, building strong bone health as well, and how important it is in their diet. So performing very well for us at the moment, yes.
Linda Sheehan, Marketing Manager for Glanbia Ireland in the Consumer Foods Division. Linda Sheehan, thanks for taking our call, and listen, best of luck with your super milk and your vitamin D. Listen, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Kieran.
The role of good quality grassland is so important, indeed very much so. Also part of good grassland management is reseeding, particularly in the spring. So to discuss this whole area of reseeding and the importance of quality grass pasture, we're joined from Glanbia Ireland by Phil Meany. He's the Grass Seed Technical Advisor at Glanbia Ireland. Phil, welcome to our programme.
Thanks, Kieran. Thanks for having me.
Phil, as I said in the intro, grassland management is so important, and key plank of that is reseeding. And just before we come on air, you mentioned to me springtime is one of the best times that farmers, that window they have to reseed new pasture.
Yeah, I think this time of the year is very good. What you're targeting really is no loss of production in the paddock. So a 60-day turnaround from grazing to grazing, and that can be easily done with spraying off grazing or cutting, cultivating, and we can touch on that later, then managing to come back in. So you're looking to get back in, graze probably as soon as you can pull that plant that doesn't pull out of the ground, and you're grazing probably at the 2-leaf stage. Get it first grazing, and then that'll help the whole plant take.
Phil, do you find a lot of farmers are slow about reseeding, and do they really see the value of reseeding? And is that still a problem, getting guys to realise the importance of reseeding, and as you say, particularly at springtime where you feel it is the optimum time?
Yeah, I think in fairness, guys are technically a lot better than they were years ago, and I think they're a lot more tuned into it and see the results, especially with grassland, with measuring grass. And I mean, really, we have to be measuring grass now to manage it. But I mean, grassland measurement is part of the course now, and it's but when you can measure grass, you can manage it, and guys can see what the paddocks are performing and what, more importantly, are not. That's key to reseeding.
As regards the whole area of reseeding, obviously using recommended varieties, and we'll touch on that in a minute, but very important key plank is the whole area of soil nutrition, having that soil nutrition correct, and indeed that's a big drive that you've had over the last year or so.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that now, because Niall Moore is on the Glanbia soil nutrition programme out there from Manstown, and Niall has been doing that for the last couple of years, and we have a piece in our grassy brochure on it. And really what it is to look and to see the best time of year to put the slurries out, rather than putting it all out in the summer months. What we're trying to do is put as much of the slurry out as we can in the spring, and to pick the paddocks that it's going out on. Obviously, this is backed up with soil testing, and it's to try and reduce the amount of fertiliser really that's being spread, and to look at the optimum time of getting that fertiliser out. So ideally, the slurry now with the low emission spreading is a major help in getting more slurry out in the spring. So I mean, and where you target, the cover that you target, and that has a big role to play in reducing the level of fertiliser that's being spread.
Well, definitely farmers have really bought into the whole shoot trail as regards silage spreading. You recently had an on-farm reseeding trial, or you have the results of a reseeding trial, and basically you might tell our listeners what you found from this recent farm reseeding trial.
Yeah, I suppose what we looked at is, and that was with Ollie Clark up in Navan in Meath, and what he looked at was a number of different ways of reseeding. And I suppose the one big message out of methods of reseeding is it doesn't really make a difference what way you reseed, as long as you have seed soil contact. You all have, like, was ploughing, was minimum tillage, it was stitching in. So you all have their pluses and minuses. And if you went back to years, everything was ploughed. But I suppose what we're looking at now is how it ends up rather than how it's done.
Right.
So stitching is very easy. Is very easy to do, but you need a bit more look on your side. Moisture is a big part of it. You need an open sward, so you need a number of things running in your direction. The minimum tillage is probably easier to get out, in that what you're doing is you're spraying off. You probably have to leave it that bit longer, Kieran, before you go back in, because you need that sod to break down. What you're talking about is maybe 2 passes of a disc, and so on it then. And obviously the ploughing then is the traditional way where you're turning it over. There's pluses and minuses to each of them.
So really up to a guy to speak to his advisor, because you say there's pluses and minuses, and depends on each situation would be different. As regards soil health, obviously we mentioned soil nutrition and soil health, so very important that it's a key plank in having soil fertility correct and deals soil health. Reseeding and getting the proper mixtures and getting recommended varieties is something guys do only hopefully they're doing a rotation of it, but it's so important you get it right, and using the right mixtures and using the right varieties, the recommended varieties.
Yeah, well, I suppose what you're talking about, look, as you're talking guys coming back every 7 to 10 years to reseed. So what you need to do is spread the cost of that reseeding over that period of time. So look, you need to have varieties that are on the recommended list, and if you're not looking at the varieties that are on the recommended list, you have to ask yourself why. The varieties on the recommended list are really the top number of percent that's there. So anything on the recommended list is a decent variety, and obviously then it's what suits yourself. I know there is a lot of maybe monoculture going on and 2 mixes going on, but really we know very little about any diseases that are affecting varieties. So obviously it's an insurance put in 3 or 4 mixtures, grass seed variety into. But what we'll be looking at is the percentages of diploids and tetraploids that are in that mix then, Kieran, Right. And look, we have, I suppose, the last number of years with work in especially in Moore Park that's coming out of it, the tetraploids are given a better quality. They are more open, they're harder maybe to manage, but they are given better quality. So we would have looked at our Grassland mixes at maybe 25 and 30% years ago, and now they're up to 60 and 65%. Okay. So that just shows the way that we feel the quality is key.
And again, speaking to your advisor, because each farmer is different and each field is different as such. So really, I suppose, optimising grassland on farm is one of the most economical means of production, be it milk or beef or sheep or whatever on farm. But reseeding is a key plank of that, and indeed we're into the key month of April, so it's important, guys, talk to their advisors, get out and look at starting your reseeding programme. Phil Meany of Glanbia Ireland, our grass seed technical advisor. Phil, thanks for taking our call. Let's hope the weather will stay fine for April. It's a key month for reseeding, and let's hope we'll have a big uptake down here in Waterford in the southeast. Thanks for talking to us, Phil.
Thanks, Kieran.
And before I go, a reminder that our online weekly livestock marts continue down here in the southeast. This Saturday morning, Waterford Ross Mart in New Ross, cattle sales from 9:30, calf sales from 10 o'clock, and don't forget their weekly dairy sale every Friday. While on Monday, Dungarvan Mart's cattle sale continues every Monday from 11 o'clock, and Monday's Mart has a special entry of 2 Aberdeen Angus bulls for Roger McCarthy Church Quarter, well-known dairy farmer and pedigree breeder. While don't forget also, and a reminder, that calf sales continue every Thursday at Dungarvan Mart from 12 noon, and all sales, of course, are now online at livestocklive.com. Turning to our racing front, great week again for local Waterford connections. At the weekend, we great success for Waterford, winning connections at Cork last weekend, where he wins for Dungarvan trainer John Kiley and Dungarvan jock Ian Power, as well as ring owner Mary O'Donnell, and also Tallow trainer Sean Ahern and Tallow jock James Hannon were all in the winners' enclosure at Cork last weekend. While cross channel, Kappa jock Tom Queally had a nice winner at Linkfield, while Dungarvan jock Sean Houlihan kept up his great run with a winner at Plumpton. Of course, pride of place this week goes to West Waterford breeders Liam and Gary Norris, Glen Daligan, Dungarvan, who bred the Irish Grand National winner at the Woodfield Farm Stud just outside Dungarvan. A really fantastic achievement for the Norris family and their star stallion Curtin Times, who stands at the Woodfield Sun. So well done to Liam and Gary. What an achievement. Well, that's my lot for this week's programme. Once again, my thanks to Ollie and Sean for all their help in putting this week's programme together. So from myself, Kieran O'Connor, it's goodbye for now, but hopefully I'll have your company again same time next week.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.